Shalom, brothers and sisters. All praises to the Most High if you're watching this video. I want to go into some more history and precepts and really get this full understanding of exactly who the tribe of Dan is and this nation of people that I've been kind of pushing pretty strongly, not just on this channel but also on other social media sites, about exactly who this nation of people are. There's been somewhat of a strong movement, as I've said before, in this Negro Indian awakening. I'm not too sure if it's just a strong awakening to me because I'm aware of this thing, and more as I've researched and put other people awakened to this nation of people. You know, more information and more knowledge of this tribe is coming back to me. So I'm not too sure if it only seems as if it's a strong movement to me because I've been researching it and I've been finding a lot of things out about this tribe. Or if it's just the fact that these Negro Indians are formulating, or if these Negro Indians are actually gathering themselves together. But I think it's maybe a little bit of both. The fact that I'm very much aware of this nation, and actually these people are formulating and gathering and recognizing who they are. I want to go into a few photos here and maybe a video about the Aboriginal Americans. The term Aboriginal American is completely false. There is no such thing, according to the Bible, as an Aboriginal American. Like, there is no one nation of people who is the progenitor of the indigenous people. But I want to go into this a little bit further, because as you can see here in this image we'll go to Percy Miller. Well, here it says he knows that you aren't African, but are Aboriginal Americans. Do you? So he knows that he's a Choctaw Indian. He comes from the Negro Indians, as I've posted from a video before. But the term I really want to go into is this Aboriginal American. That's what I want to go into the truth about. Right here you see it says American. It's a definition in the 1828 Webster Dictionary. It says a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So they go into the definition of American, and they said that this name American was applied to the Aboriginals. So that word is very false. I'm just going to flat out say it's a lie. That's not true. Right here it says tag a black person that knows they're indigenous, native, autochthonous, or aboriginal to the Americas. And if they don't know, tag them anyway. Okay, so that's what I want to go into. So right here in this Webster definition of Aboriginal, it says here, being the first or earliest known of its kind present in a region. It says Aboriginal forests, Aboriginal rocks. So this word can also be used in referring to nature, not necessarily just people, but it's saying the first or earliest known of its kind present in a region. If they're using this part of Aboriginal or this definition of Aboriginal, they're completely false. And it's manipulating. It's manipulative. Here the second definition says of or relating to the people who have been in a region from the earliest time. Of or relating to Aborigines. So in this definition it says if you were related to the people who have been in a region from the earliest time. So if they're using that part of the definition, then that could be that part is true. But if they're using the first or earliest known of its kind present in a region, that's false. And I'm going to show you that they've used this in the first definition. Right here, and this is the same 1828 definition of American page that I've used before. It says it is likely that we repeat that long ago the youthful America was also a Negro continent, and that the Otomis of Mexico, the Caracals of Haiti, the Matayas of Brazil, and the Albinos of Panama are the remains of the Aboriginal Negro race, out of which developed later what is known as the Red or American race. So this was the Aboriginal word in its first sense, in the first definition. That's the definition that they use here, and that is completely false. They're saying that Negro Indians are the progenitor of the Red Indians, or what we know today as the traditional Indians. That is completely false. So I want to go into a couple precepts. I want to go into a couple. Well, I'll go into this last 1828 definition of American. It's the same thing. It is a native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races. So they're claiming that the copper-colored are the original Americans. Now, okay, we'll go into this here in a little bit. I want to go into chapter 5. So the chapter 5 of 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras chapter 5 verse 1. It says, "Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come, that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number. And the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago, and the land that thou seest now to have root shalt thou see wasted suddenly." So this hasn't happened yet because we haven't seen the land that has taken root be wasted suddenly. The part I want to get from this is the fact that the way of truth shall be hidden. I've said that before, that you won't find the truth, definitely not in religion. You're not finding the truth about what the Bible says in any camp. I can promise you that, because they're not teaching you the truth about who the Dan tribe is, and they're not teaching the truth about who is actually teaching in these last days. So the way of truth shall be hidden. Very important in these last days. The truth is hidden for real. You have to study the Bible to get the understanding of the truth. Okay, this is 2nd Esdras 14, verse number 17. It says, "For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. For the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand." Leasing means lying. So there's a lot of lying hard at hand in these last days. "For now hatred the vision to come which thou hast seen." So the way of truth is hidden in the last days, and leasing is hard at hand. Okay, so I want to go into Romans 3 verses number 3. Verse number 3 says, "For what if some don't believe? What if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar." So when in this scripture, now I've said before, there's a nation of people called Dan manipulating our awakening. Now, whether you believe that or not, does that make it not true? God forbid. It says, "Let God be true and every man be a liar." Whatever, the truth is in the book, and we're in the time of leasing. So the only way you can really get the real truth, it says, "Let God be true," which is the word of the Most High. That's the only way you're going to get the real truth, is going into the real scriptures and understanding the tribes, understanding the prophets, the law, the entire book is must. Are you going to understand every single part of the Bible? Absolutely not. But you must get an understanding for yourself. And the basics of the book are required to understand the Bible, which is what part of why they have hid who they are. They've hid the Danite tribe in our day of leasing, in these last days in which the truth is hidden. They've actually hid an entire nation of people who are teaching. Okay, so I want to go into 2nd Esdras, and we're going to address the fact that this Aboriginal Indian, being the progenitor of many other Indian tribes, is just not true. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, starting here in verse number 39. It says, "And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salamander the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land." So these are the 10 tribes that were gathered peaceably. "But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsarith. Now, as we know from the Jewish Encyclopedia, and not just the Jewish Encyclopedia, but going into what Asa Aretz, the word Arsarith, actually really means, going into the truth about our indigenous brothers' history, how they knew Hebrew. They had Hebrew written all over the place. They had it in their coffins. You find the Bat Creek stone and the I think it's called the Decalogue stone, or where the commandments are written in Hebrew in the Americas. Okay, but this right here is a definition of Arsarith, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of the restoration. According to, it says here, 4th Esdras 13 and 45, Columbus identified America with this land. Okay, so I want to go back to 2nd Esdras 13, where this came from. Because right here in verse number 41, it says, but they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So as we let God be true and every man be a liar, if they're claiming that there was an original people here that was before the 10 tribes of Israel, then that's definitely not true. It's impossible